This is the Metal Roofing Learning Channel, brought to you by Western States Metal Roofing, where you can find a variety of colors and finishes, all while saving by buying factory direct.
Are you a designer or architect and want to incorporate these panels into your next project? Western States Metal Roofing has made it easy. Simply download our free 3D Smart Textures to create photorealistic images in your 3D design software now.
So today I'm here with Rochelle Lynne from Rochelle Lynne Designs. Rochelle, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your company?
I am actually a designer that was self-taught in 1998. So 25 years ago this month, I started our design firm and creating now the types of projects that we really are in love with and drawn to. So that's specializing in homes that are rural, ranch, mountain inspired, alpine, and really lots of log and timber, lots of natural materials, lots of earthy hand done stuff, and then mixing it with like funky, cool, modern twists.
Rochelle, walk us through the process of designing a home and also how you design with sustainability. Walk us through that, please.
So we do something a little different than typical. We reverse engineer the whole concept of designing a home. We begin with the interior of the home, and then we work our way out to the outside, the shell, and the actual architectural structure. Typically, one would think you would go and begin with the structure, design the house, you have an idea of the style and the shape that you want to create, and then you fit your rooms into it, and then you bring in the interior elements and figure out, how am I going to make all those things fit, function, and operate well for my lifestyle? What we have learned being on the backside of that, working as an interior design firm initially, purely just doing interiors, we were faced with these unusual challenges of, now that you've learned what the consumer or the customer wants, these homeowners are really expressing how they want to live in their home, how they want to function. These are the things I need to have happen. This is what I want to feel like when I move from room to room, when I'm sitting in this room and looking out the window, when my guests come in. These are the feelings I want to have and the functions I want to have. And then we as interior designers are faced with this struggle of trying to make those things fit into the architecture that's already been defined. And oftentimes, construction may also already be in the process of early bidding or even initiating. And so to go back and say, you need to change, you need to move that window, you need to change those walls, you need to push this wall out further and bring this other wall in further, and their exterior walls, they're fixed at this point. We can't make those changes to achieve their interior feel. So what we learned over time was, all we had to do was be involved early in the conversation and get the shape of the home to be defined by where you live, on how you live on the inside. The big, I guess, blow up moment for us was when we said, why don't we just start with the inside, figure out what you want, and then we'll talk to the architectural team and see what we could shape around it. And that new approach was an instant success.
Oh,
so by
reverse
engineering, designing from the inside first, rather than trying to fit the inside in and having to sacrifice because it's too late or too expensive to change stuff. We were then coming up with results for both an interior plan, but also an architectural form that was absolutely perfectly fitting and beautiful and nuanced perfectly to both lifestyle, but also the landscape, because you're designing around the experience of the people within and the land upon which it sits. So it just turns out that it works really well. It seems to end up with very few revisions because you're putting the important stuff first instead of last. where you live is inside the house, not outside.
Right.
That's for your neighbors to look at. You're not designing for them, you're designing for
Right.
you.
That's a brilliant approach to doing this. All right, so Rochelle, so we talked about how we get it started and how you've got the great idea of starting from the inside out. So now that the customer's got the inside figured out, how do you go about designing the outside of the structure?
Well, to be honest, 3D is the best way to design. It's become pretty much the major trend in architectural design now, is designing in 3D. So you create your structure and come up with your form of space and place, and you're able to see all of those elements as they relate to each other in 3D so much easier. It helps a lot also in communicating with the client, whose ability to envision or even interpret the language of architecture to understand fully what you're telling them you want. It's so much easier just to show a picture and say, here you go, this is it in 3D, and move around it live, see it in movement, see it from different angles and aspects. So when we design the shape of the structure around the interior elements and the best living spaces, it almost happens naturally and fluidly. The really great thing about using 3D software is you can apply finishes almost as easy as a click. It's not quite that easy, but it looks that easy. And applying those finishes helps, I guess, form the story and the details of the story so much more and so much more quickly for the communication of the actual intention of the design to the homeowner, the consumer. So it gives them that bridge of language from a 2D document, a construction drawing, an elevation, a detail that communicates the technical side to those that have to actually execute the production of this masterpiece. And it takes it and communicates it in a different language that is really easy to understand and interpret and evaluate for those who are the people that are investing in this. They're spending their money and their heart and soul in this creation that they hope will be absolutely magnificently perfect for them. And it just is a clarity of language, really.
Talk me through the spec side of it, and how does that work, Rochelle?
Specs are they're the necessary evil of our trade. Specs are really important. They matter immensely to the builder and to the trades and suppliers, because every detail and its nuance and adjustment can be modified or changed and cause a trickle-down effect of finance impact, or design intent failure, or even failure to meet quality controls and quality expectations of the homeowner. So having detailed specifications available to designers, architects, it's hugely important for us if we're that concerned about the outcome of the project. The design intent, meeting specifically what we, the designers and planners, want it to be, but also what we've communicated to our clients, our homeowners, they're going to get as part of that plan too. It also is very important for budgeting, because having detailed specifications from a manufacturer and parlaying them in the design means specifically there's no room for, my favorite word, interpretation. Where, oh, you just want metal siding? Well, I've got this great one from this guy down the road. He gives me a really good deal. It's super cheap. It'll be awesome. And it may not give the aesthetic expected, the quality anticipated, and maybe a whole lot of lifespan issues as well.
So what's next and what's in store for Rochelle Lynne Designs, and how does somebody get a hold of you if they want help designing their project?
Truly, the next step up for us, we're actually starting to plan communities that are focused on regional and land connected stewardship in housing. So creating neighborhoods of living spaciously on the land, not compact many, many houses altogether, but living spaciously on the land, yet not engrossed in huge amounts of land, living in community still, and sharing community spaces. Those being, say, a horse community where you share a communal arena, pasture land, barn, and paddock space.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us here today, Rochelle.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been a treat. Loads of fun.
Are you a designer or architect and want to incorporate these panels into your next project? Western States Metal Roofing has made it easy. Simply download our free 3D Smart Textures to create photorealistic images in your 3D design software now.
Want to learn more? Check out these videos.